Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the regular February Abington School Committee meeting, now in March, thanks to the blizzard last week. Thank you, everybody, for being able to adjust your schedules. I know we have a lot of people here for the presentation, so I appreciate that. I'd like to ask everybody to please stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to ask if anybody would like to address the committee. Now would be the time to come up to the podium and just state your name and address for our minutes. Okay. First order of business is reading and approval of records. The first item is the January 6th executive session minutes. I'll be looking for a motion to approve and a second when the committee's ready.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Up next is our regular minutes from from the January 27th meeting. Same order of business, just looking for a motion to approve and a second or amendment if needed. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Dr. Bost, I'm going to pass it over to you to pass it over to.
Yeah, great. Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have Miss Meg Doherty, our department head for 7th through 12 math. We'll be giving an update on her department.
Hello, I'm here to talk a little bit about math and computer science, science. Our focus areas for this year for grades 7 through 12 have been creating standard aligned curriculum and assessment, grading assessments, building thinking classrooms, and productive struggle and problem solving. Our Algebra 1 and Geometry curriculums are in the process of just being revised and polished. In grades 7 and 8, we're using our fish tank math curriculum, and it is a skeleton, so we add to it as needed. So we're in the process of looking at the different resources that we're going to add and make sure that they are also standard aligned. Our main focus at the high school is currently building and revising the Algebra 2 and pre-calculus curriculums. We meet during common planning time, we have curriculum days, and we work over the summer to complete this work. Part of the work is assuring that we have common assessments and that we grade them equitably, fairly, and consistently, no matter who the teacher is. This requires a lot of conversations about assessments, partial credit, and justifying answers. In addition, all of our classes have switched to a 90-10 split at the high school and an 80-20 split at the middle school, meaning that assessments are worth 90% of the grade and homework and classwork are worth 10% of the grade. We're still incorporating our building thinking classrooms. It's now become one of our tools that it's just what we do. And that's a really nice place to be. It does help our students with the productive struggle and problem solving. We are finding that on questions that they haven't seen before on assessments, they are more open to doing it. Before we used to get, I haven't seen this. It doesn't look like the question on the review. And now they're much more willing to attack it from different ways. Our focus areas align with the strategic plan of improving student outcomes through vertically and horizontally aligned curriculum instruction and assessment. This is exactly what we've been doing. When we began this process, particularly at the high school and then down to the middle school, we sat down and we just wrote out all the standards. Who owns what? Where does it go? How can we make it make sense? So, for example, when I talk about revising and polishing, one of the things that we've talked about this year, specifically in geometry, is dilations. Where does it go? Does it go with transformations, or does it go when we have our proportional reasoning? And we moved it last year, and we said, it doesn't fit as good as it did before. So we go back and we move it again. So that's kind of where we are with our Algebra 1 and geometry. Everything's in the right place. We just need to tweak it a little bit so that it goes smoother. That's where we are. Whereas our Algebra 2 and pre-calculus is still the nitty-gritty, building the assessments, building the homework, building the vocabulary, building the notes, kind of bringing that up from scratch. And so, once again, that's done during professional development time, common planning time, and we do that once again vertically and horizontally.
And this is where I jump in, like I did last month, for our public service announcement and reminder about advanced placement classes at Abington High School. All of the AP classes have a requirement for a teacher recommendation. However, students can request a waiver to override not having one. So that increases the availability of the course, AP courses for students. We believe it's more equitable. It also means, however, that compared to when you had to have a teacher recommendation to get into an AP class, the group of students in front of you, they're not all necessarily going to be pushing to take the test, right? The test has always been optional because you pay for it. Maybe not always, but the test has been optional for a long time because students and families do pay for it unless that's a challenge, and then we can help out. But when students are able to take it sort of against the recommendation of a teacher, right? If your teacher's not saying they think this is the right spot for you, but you're opting into doing that, you're potentially not going to take the test. You may just be taking it, the course to have the credits on, to have it on your resume, right? To have it on your transcript, which is fine. And we think it is more equitable for students. But we know that we are still teaching the curriculum that is presented from the College Board for the AP courses. However, the performance is different now than it was in the past, and it's all dependent on the students. We do as much as we can to prepare them, and some students are really pushing themselves and looking forward to taking the test, and some are not, and that's okay. Anybody have a question about that? We talked about it last month, too.
Nope. Thank
I
you.
can throw in a great
Go ahead.
caveat for that. I have students who are taking the test. They want to take the test. They want the AP credit. They've done this journey. And I have other students who are choosing to take the test because it means they won't have to take the final exam that I make. So, and other students who are like, hey, listen, I'm not taking that test no matter what. So their reasons are broad.
Yeah.
So it's very, very interesting. So I'm going to talk to you mainly about calculus because that's what I do. Last year, it looks as if, and it is true, that we went down our mean by 0.1 from the previous year, which sounds terrible, but when you really look at the details, you're going to notice that last year we only had 2 students take it. This last year, which was 22% of the class. The previous year, sorry, in 2025, we had 72% of the students take it. So I would rather go down 0.1 and have more students take it, more students pass it. So sometimes it's not all just in that number. One of the things the feedback that I get from the kids when they do take the test is that the wording is always difficult. And so the wording is much more mathematically mature. I break it down in class for them so that when they go and they take the AP exam, they get very nervous when they see the language. So that's one of the things that we have been focusing on this year. We have been using Mathematic, which is very similar to Building Thinking Classrooms. It's an EFFL, which is experience first, formalize later. So that whole productive struggle, that whole not feeling comfortable, and that getting your hands dirty before I actually give you the notes has really been productive. I feel the grades are much more reflective of what they would normally get on an exam. The rigor is definitely there. Our students who perhaps have chosen to take the course, as you said in the last slide, are struggling a little bit more, but they're doing the work, they're coming after school, they're getting it done. We've been very lucky to have MIT partner with us to do some tutoring. And those students who have been doing that, we have 2 students who are involved in that, have found that that's been very, very productive. And I think if you notice too, if you look for the past few years, this is all post-COVID now, which is nice to see, that we don't have to talk about that anymore, but we're right back where we were 2 years ago. So the number, although it's 0.1 down, doesn't vary tons, and we're definitely still, I feel, in the upward trend. In AP statistics, you're going to see a lot of the same thing. They actually went up. They increased from 1.8 to 2.08 this past year, and it's the highest it's been since COVID. Also, 75% of the students took the test. So that, as a teacher, is one of our really important things. Like, we want the students to take the test we want them to be all in, we want them invested, and we want them committed. So for us, it's a huge win when students are saying, I'm going to try it, I put all this work into it, I want to take that test. Computer science is a little bit of a bump. Although we had students in computer science principals and computer science A, I'm going to put both those up here so you can see, no students took the test. They had a long talk about what it is that you get out of computer science. And it was very interesting. And after their conversation with both the teacher, with their parents, and with each other, they chose not to take it. We had someone who came in actually from Google, and it was very interesting the way that they explained it to the kids. They said, what you're learning now is not what you're going to learn in college. It's not what you're going to learn when you get to your job. You're going to get to your job and they're going to say, do it this way. You're going to code this way. The language is going to be obsolete because it is always changing. So they really have concentrated on the soft skills, the skills that are going to get them to job. How to work with people, how to work with groups, how to be able to give positive feedback, how to be able to receive critical feedback. The other thing is that although our computer science students did not take it, a lot of our students have doubled up into engineering, and that is through the roofs. And we are sending our kids on to a lot of mechanical engineering careers, a lot of computer science careers. And I think a lot of that is because they're getting much more of a hands-on education, designing the best bottle, for example, that you would put laundry detergent in. One of the things that they have to do is they have to decide the instructions to put a piece of furniture together. And I said to them, please, my feedback, one extra screw for everything. One extra screw, one extra bolt, because you know that that's going to roll under something. And so when they make their instruction manual, so they really have to think about the best way to put things together. It really is about the engineering piece. So that's kind of where our focus in the computer science department has gone. Any questions? I know you have a hefty agenda tonight, so I tried to keep it short.
Hi, first of all, thank you. Going back to the 90-10, 80-20 split.
Sure.
You mentioned, did you say, I wasn't writing down quickly enough, did you say 80-20 is for middle school?
Middle school, that's what
Okay.
they've they're not quite ready to make that 90-10 split yet.
So it's 90 for assessments and the other 10 is for
Classwork and homework.
classwork and homework?
So basically, an assessment isn't necessarily just a test, it's anything that they're doing work and getting graded on, an actual number grade, letter grade project. We consider those all assessments, not just your written test.
Okay.
The homework and classwork at the high school, one of the things we want is their grade to be reflective of what they know and are able to do. And one of the things that you may or may not have realized is that there are a lot of helpful tools out there that when a student might be on their phone or on their computer or at home with their phone or their computer, that their homework seems to get done very, very quickly. Yet when they do it in class, it seems to take a little bit longer. So what we've decided to do is to kind of really focus on what we're doing in class because we feel that's their most authentic work.
That makes a lot of sense. Can you tell me a little bit more about what else factored into that decision when that started happening, like the 90-10?
It's been brewing for a while.
Okay.
I remember years and years ago, been here a long time, when I had a phone call from a parent who said to me, how come my student who passed Algebra 2 has been put in remedial math at college?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that really hit me. And it made us start looking at what do the grades reflect? Does it reflect that you are compliant, that you are a good worker, which we always want, don't get me wrong, I want good worker, I want good study habits. But we realized that we weren't really being truthful. And it really came out of COVID. When we came out of COVID, I'll say it, when we were in COVID, everybody either got an A for doing the work or everybody got an F for not doing the work. There wasn't a lot of in between. And then when we came out of COVID, it was really kind of hard to steer that back. So we just did a hard pull and said, hey, listen, we're going to do 90% what you know and are able to do, 10% is basically like your effort, your participation in class.
And how has that been received by students, by their families?
They would much rather have it more for the homework grade, but they
Okay.
understand why we're doing it.
Okay.
You know, one of the things we did take away at this point, as we're creating our curriculum, and I do hope will come back, is our quarterly assessments at the high school. So we used to do at the end of every quarter, that we would do an assessment that was worth 15% of their grade. And so that's kind of where that 15% went in. So it was 10%, 75%, 15%. So we just said assessments are 90%. And kind of once we get through this revision stage, I'm hoping that they'll go back to some sort of a quarterly assessment.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick question for you regarding, and thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
For geometry,
Yes.
do we ever do like a, what's it called? Can't even think, like touch on some algebra before the MCAS?
Oh, so the geometry that we do is all algebra-based.
Okay.
And so I teach Algebra 1 right now to our students who are most in need, and all we do up until this point, second half of the year, is solve equations. And I said to them, I had my geometry kids in with me today, we set everything up so it is algebraic. If you have to prove that something is an isosceles triangle, then you're going to have to go ahead and set this equation equal to this side equal to this side and solve for x. Plug it back in. It's very algebra heavy.
Okay, because I didn't know if the MCAS dropped because of the
AP
scores and,
scores.
sorry, the AP scores, sorry, thank you.
Oh.
Because of not having that extra algebra in there. Actually, no.
No.
I'm talking about the MCAS.
Okay.
Yeah, because MCAS, they take them
Yes.
their sophomore year, correct?
Yes,
And
they do.
that's their last,
Yes, it's the last
Before-
one in May. Yeah.
exactly, before they graduate,
Yes.
technically,
So
unless.
the basis of
Sorry.
solving equations, let me specify this a little bit better. Solving equations is integrated throughout the curriculum. We also go back and we'll do a review of algebra for a week or two beforehand, putting it into like what we call coordinate geometry, so that they're doing slope again, they're doing equation of a line again. But we can't review an entire year of algebra, all the little things. We try to
Right.
hit the big topics before we go in, and because we understand it's geometry, but the test is algebra and geometry, so we do go back and review that.
Oh, okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
And then one more question regarding, because you teach ninth grade Algebra 1, have you seen any disconnect between the eighth graders coming to ninth grade, or any like missing components?
I teach, I'm not necessarily the best person to ask that because I teach a specific group of ninth graders. I don't have your general population of ninth graders.
Okay.
So I do know that one of the things that we did realize is that in our algebra class, that our students did struggle on a couple of topics at the beginning. So where we started last year, we did go back and do one review unit. We added in another unit.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of go back and be like, hey, listen, we need to make sure that we hit solving equations with variables on both sides. You know, all that stuff that we said, oh no, they do in eighth grade, they do in seventh grade, we're not going to do again here. We did it as a quick review because as we were moving forward, the kids were still struggling on that. And then once they start, they were good to go.
Perfect.
So,
All right,
I think,
thank
does
you.
that answer?
Yes, that does answer. Thank you.
Ms. Doherty, off of that, is it more you think they're just forgetting over the summer? Or do you think it's more where they need to, like, do you need to work with the eighth grade teachers on refining the steps to get there? Like, was it just getting missed in eighth grade, or was it being forgotten in the summer between grades?
I think it's being forgotten in the summer,
Okay.
and I think that school has shifted.
Okay.
I think the practice that we used to do,
Yeah.
homework, things like that, like I said, there's a little bit more, there's a little bit less homework,
Yeah,
emphasis on homework, which is
Yeah.
where the practice would happen.
yeah.
So,
Okay, no, that makes sense. And I can attest to your statement, living it this year, of geometry being algebra-based.
yes.
As a parent of somebody who had both of those classes this year, at least for the first half of the year, so I can definitely attest to that.
Which is the best place to be for MCAS, because they've had both this year.
Yeah, made it easier to help too, because I'm better with algebra than geometry, so.
Go ahead.
Okay. So with the curriculum that you're developing on your own,
Are the students' practice work, homework, is that computer-based or is everything paper-based that you're working on?
We are trying to do as much paper-based as possible.
Okay.
So when we create our curriculum, we started off by obviously mapping the standards, making ourselves units that kind of made sense. And then for every topic, we went through and we found all the MCAS questions for that topic and incorporated it into our assessments and said, okay, now how do we get there? So when we do that, we have homeworks built in. We have homework A, homework B, homework C for the different levels. Our algebra teachers have just been tremendous with this and working together. So when you open up a file, there is the outline, the study guide, the assessment, the notes, and then all the homeworks.
Okay.
So, and then the translations, the vocabulary, the things that you would find in other units. That's the stuff that we're working on now, that we
Okay.
have time. So like geometry, we're a little bit further along.
Yep.
So because it's kind of its own little thing, so we can go ahead and create our vocabulary and our separate sheets for that.
Okay. Part of me wonders if when they're taking computer-based examinations like the MCAS and the AP scores, if whether doing it on paper, which I think probably makes a whole host of sense for knowledge grasping, may not translate to the same way of like limitless and the different things that you have to plug into a set number of keys versus when you write down the answer, your teacher can understand that there is no limit and things like that. I wonder if there's any impact on our quantitative scores as a result of
It's a great
computer-based.
question. And I think it's one of the things that we're like, oh, they've taken them online forever. But you have definitely a valid point that when you have a multiple choice question that is online, it's really easy to click it and move on.
Yep.
So we really encourage the students to write the problem down, so that you can see the answers. But that is definitely a valid point.
I mean, not to say, I don't think anything could change. I'm just wondering if there's,
No, but
if there's
there's
a
plenty of
correlation there.
MCAS that are online that we can
Yep.
go ahead and we can use the pair assessment to create that as well.
Okay.
I know that they use pair assessment a little bit more. That's the old Edulastic. They use that more at the middle school, but that's definitely someplace that we can add more at the high school. I think that'll probably be our next step after the curriculum is a little bit more solid.
Okay.
But that's a great idea.
And then the only other comment, just on scores, both in the AP scores you presented and the MCAS that we've seen in the past, is the pace at which we get through material. I'm curious if the scores reflect a lack of interest in taking the test, which could certainly be a possibility, a lack of understanding of the content, which it feels like our assessments would identify, or if it's that content wasn't actually taught because the pace was slower than an originally identified pace. Do you have any indication on how pacing has been as compared to prior years? Like, are educators feeling like they can get through the same material, or are they having to slow things down?
I think that's one of the nice parts about creating our own curriculum, is that we can say, okay, we're going to spend so many days, so many days, so many days. Not that we don't get hung up. I mean, we take a week of snow days and, there goes another week. But the first thing that we do when we get our MCAS back is go through each question. And we have that ability at the high school. I know at the middle school, they do data teams and go through the questions that they have and try to identify. But we will literally go through and be like, did we get to this? Did we get to this? If not, why not? So circles is a great example in geometry, all the circle formulas. That was always never on it. It was the last thing. I'm talking about like chords, intersecting chords, all those fun things. And now we found out that it is pretty regularly on there. So we have bumped that unit up. So the question though is if you bump something up because it's sequential, what kind of goes towards the end? And so we have to make those decisions. We're lucky that MCAS is in May, so we have a little bit more wiggle room than say, for example, middle school that do it more in April. But yeah, that's, it's a math is sequential. That's the hardest part about the subject. If you have one gap and it doesn't get filled, it just becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it's identified and filled. I can tell you, we do our best to make sure that
I'm sure.
sequencing happens.
Thank you.
But it is something that we probably pay more attention to now because it's our own curriculum than we did before, because we knew we weren't getting through 14 chapters.
Yep.
So we make 8 units that are solid.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Hi. How are you? Thank you for coming out in this weather. I don't know what it is about your presentation that we seem to keep giving you great weather to come out in, so
Well, I just
thank you
never
for.
left, so it's easy for me.
Final exams. Did I hear you utter the words final exams for your AP class?
I should say a cumulative assessment.
No, just curious. I actually, for the AP students who aren't electing to take the exam, I do love the fact. Are
Take
you
something.
modeling it on that same format that they would take if they were sitting the AP exam?
They do, so it's a shorter version of the exam.
Okay, all right.
So, yep, so I'll take an actual AP exam and then pick half the questions because they'll have half the time.
And do you take feedback from the students in the classroom as far as what they thought? Because if you're taking it from the AP, are they kind of reporting back to you how they feel about it?
They do.
Okay.
And so that's kind of where I got that whole part about the language. And I said, this year, I always figure that if I can teach the content, then they can break down the language. And this year, I said, I'm going to start with the language. And we've been doing the language the whole time. And it has been a struggle for everybody. Just kind of, but I will be very interested to see the results this year.
Okay.
Very interested to see them.
As someone who has somebody on the other side of it, I do know that the discussion was had about a college level calculus class. You have the kids who had no calculus, then the kids who had calculus, and then the kids who had calculus. And she said, and those are the friends that I'm, studying with. So it's, I'm glad to know at least we're holding the rigor to the other side for the students who aren't sitting the exam. It's a nice thing to hear. You were touching on the alignment between the teachers as they're teaching the same classes.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you because the stories that we hear about discussions, students are noticing discussions amongst teachers about how they would actually get to a certain thing, to a certain outcome. If there's a question about, well, in this class it was taught this way, in this class, the kids notice the collaboration the teachers are having, and they're actually responding to it, so I love to see that. It also helps if the students have questions, they know that they can go to any number of people, and I feel like some of them are starting to do that. So I guess this is just kind of an important thing for staff. It's not just what you're teaching the kids in front of you, but they're also learning with how you are dealing with the teacher who's teaching next to you. And I'm hearing about it a lot more from various students this year than I've heard about it in the past. So
I have to say, in order to be able to make this jump, to be able to take this adventure, to kind of build your own adventure, as they would say, you have to have the right people. And it has to be the right time. And the department that we have now is just amazing. Amazing. They just work together so well, and they are in this together. It is a team. It is, I could not say, there's not enough words for me to say how wonderful and how productive and how smart and how thoughtful they are with this entire process.
well, thank you.
Ms. Doherty, thank you very much. I just want to say we appreciate you adjusting your schedule. I know you originally scheduled for last week. So if you had anything planned this week, we just appreciate you adjusting your schedule for us too. Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't mean to, oh.
Thanks, Ms. Doherty. It is the time of year when I have the pleasure of announcing three actual awards that we annually reach out to the community for support for. I'm happy to announce that the nomination form for the Chester Millette Jr. Outstanding Certified and Support Staff Awards will be opening on March 9th. So there will be an email that will go out to all faculty, staff, students, and guardians, parents and guardians. In that email, there will be a link to an online form to nominate a staff member, support staff, or a certified staff member. And here's what the award is all about. It honors former Superintendent Chet Millette Jr. The awards are presented annually by the Abington School Committee to a certified staff member and support staff member who, by their performance, have demonstrated a willingness to assume responsibilities and perform deeds well above and beyond those expected, thereby distinguishing themselves by their great examples, dedication, perseverance, and commitment to helping students. Parents, guardians, students, staff members, anyone in the community, you can nominate as many certified or support staff as you'd like to. Just complete a different form for each person. The form will be open online, so you'll get the email on March 9th. It will be open online until April 1st. It'll also be posted on our website. Afterwards, after that deadline, all the identifying information and pronouns will be removed from the nominations, and a committee of parents, teachers, staff, and administrators, and a member from the school committee. Do I have a volunteer? Think about it while I finish. That committee will review all of the nominations and deliberate to determine which support staff member, which certified staff member best exemplify the purpose of the both of those awards, and they will be announced the week of Teacher Appreciation Week, which is the first or second week in May. I think it's the first week in May. Does anybody have any questions about that award?
Did you say it's going out by email?
Yes.
Is it going to be available on Rooms for Students as well, or
It'll go out to students.
it will go
Yeah.
out specifically?
And it'll be on the website.
All right, thank you.
So it'll be on our website, and it will be in an email to all students who have Abington Public Schools email accounts that they actively use, and all families who are also in our database. And then I am also happy to announce, bringing to you on behalf of the Abington Townwide PTO, the Deirdre Volunteer Service Award, which was founded in memory of a devoted Abington Public Schools parent volunteer. Deirdre Zaccardi devoted many hours to Abington and its school community to champion inclusion, expand programming, and improve childhood education. She was a constant presence at PTO and school committee meetings, where she advocated passionately for full-day kindergarten and many other programs and activities that benefited Abington students. Her legacy lives on through this Volunteer Service Award. The award is presented by the PTO to a caregiver annually for their voluntary participation in service activities that help improve both the Abington Public Schools and its community in ways that emulate Deirdre's dedication. Examples of this include event creation or organization, fundraising, advocating for educational initiatives, school funding or programming, and or executing activities beyond the intended expectation. In the same email that you're going to get about Chet Millett, there will also be information and a link to nominate caregivers for the Deirdre Volunteer Service Award. Again, you can nominate as many people as you like, just create a new form for each person. It will also close on April 1st, and it'll go through a very similar process. There will be a committee of parents and staff members and administrators who will review all of the nominations after all the identifiable information has been removed, and make a determination who they believe is the recipient for this year. Does anybody have any questions about that?
You do not need one of us from that.
I do not need a school committee member for that. All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm just letting everybody know, next up for Dr. Basta was the school calendar for next year. We're going to pass over that tonight. Dr. Michelle is working, just check with a couple of the districts to try to be in unison somewhat, in case we don't want parents to have kids here, working there, and cause any issues. So probably next week, if not March 24th. Report of the Director of Student Services, Dr. Robbins is here. There's one name for a homeschool request. It was before the math presentation. If anybody has any questions, Dr. Robbins come up and answer, but I'm not going to make him come up unless there is. So if not, I'll just be looking for a motion to approve the home education program for this school year as recommended by Dr. Robbins.
I can make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Also, next up, school committee student representative Andrew Van Luling, as you can see, is not here. Boys basketball has a game in Tewksbury tonight. They made it to the round of 16, so obviously we didn't know that at the time. So the plan will be for him to present on March 24th at our next meeting. So I'm now going to pass it over to Dr. Michella.
Great, thank you. Good evening. I would like to first introduce to you tonight our town manager, Michael Moresco. He is going to provide an update to the committee around the state of the town's finances. And thank you, Mr. Moresco, for being here tonight.
Great, thank you, Doctor. It's great to be before the school committee, parents, administrators, and I want to give special thanks to Dr. Michella. Since I got here, we meet every couple of weeks and talk about different challenges, a lot, financial challenges. As we're going through tough times. I thought what I would do tonight, we'll go through the numbers because I think people want to see the numbers, but I do want to put it a little in context of where we are. It's not unique to the town of Abington. There are numbers of communities that are in the same boat that we're in. It's really, the problem is a revenue problem. So let me get right into it for you. You'll see when we go through the slides, there are budget busters. Healthcare, pensions, fuel, utilities, collective bargaining agreements, and debt service. It's important to note that our CBAs, collective bargaining agreements, have been fair and competitive to ensure that our employees feel respected and appreciated for the work they do each day on behalf of our residents and our students. Our town budget, just like any of our surrounding towns, is comprised of approximately 80% of labor costs. Our pension cost in Plymouth County is accelerated to get Plymouth County pension fully funded by 2032. Special thanks, Tom O'Brien. If that happens and they hold to that date, we'll be actually one of the first counties that has our pension fund fully funded. On a bright note, once the pension is fully funded, a portion of those funds that would go towards the pension will now be available to support general government and school needs. From a revenue perspective, our local aid is not keeping pace with the cost of doing business. This year's unrestricted local aid, after you take out the state assessment, nets out to approximately 1.1% increase over the previous fiscal year, and Chapter 70 local aid, approximately 2.3%. Our local receipts are trailing off due to the economy. You will see that our FY26 local receipts for excise, for permits, investment income, Medicaid reimbursement, and marijuana excise tax are trending down approximately by about 18.5%. And this is significant when the cost to provide those services demanded by our residents and our parents for public safety, education, human services, trash, water, sewer continue to rise with inflation. Moving forward to FY27, the Select Board's vision is to keep our residents safe with excellently trained police and fire personnel to provide safe, comprehensive learning environment in our schools that will get our children prepared for college, trade, and adult life. The town will continue to move ahead in FY27 by meeting the requirements of providing a 21st century community that will include investments in our community, such as the new fire station, headquarters, and a DPW facility. Just a month ago, the town saw the opening of the new fuel depot and salt shed, both integral to the sound operation of our town government, and I can attest, looking at the snow budget, the sand and rock salt was flowing in and out, and it came just in the nick of time to keep everyone safe. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our phenomenal library and the wonderful programs that the staff provides to our family and residents and seniors. I also want to recognize the outstanding job that all the educators do, thanks to the folks in this room that give them the necessary tools to do that. That really is the foundation of any community, is the education system. We're training young people to go out and make their mark in life and hopefully be able to afford to come back to the town of Abington and raise their family and do the same. So thank you for all those people that are involved in that. I want a senior center whose leadership is dedicated to providing unparalleled opportunities for our seniors to remain physically active, well-educated, informed on those senior-related activities. We also, the town provides Meals on Wheels to our seniors who can't get out of their home, and other activities to keep their mind and body strong. As we approach FY27, I want to be honest with the residents that this will be very difficult and very challenging budget, hindered by a decrease in local revenues, a smaller share of local aid, and the need for an override to provide those level services, providing that the legislative body town meeting supports the needs. We are not alone. There's about 40 other communities in Massachusetts which are facing similar circumstances. And I will take all steps necessary to minimize our cost and employ all efforts to generate additional revenue. So I think at this point, we'll go through, let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, so start off. You'll see at the very top of the chart, general fund budget summary. And it's important to sort of look at it in context. I want to compare to FY26 that we're in now. And then we have the two budgets. You've heard a lot of talk about level funded, level service. Level funded budget, which I'm happy to report that we've been able to level fund the budget with the free cash that we got. We were able to level fund. And that gives us a good starting point. So to level fund the budget, that required $2,835,662. Now, level service budget, so level service budget is where the override comes in. So a level funded budget, if we had to exist with just those numbers, that is a actual cut. Because when you take into consideration collective bargaining agreements, when you take the pensions, when you take the health care costs, the rise in electric, and all of those other things, that negatively impacts that number. So a level funded budget, you know, it sounds good, it's really a cut. It's the level service budget where we are able to infuse the revenue dollars that come in, and we're asking the taxpayers to dig deeper into their pocket to make an adjustment. And these are approximate numbers because I know we've had communication with the school that will set the final numbers on the 23rd, gives the school time to come up with their final number will be, and, you know, we're still, it's a balancing act as bills are coming in. But right now, and this is an approximation, that we would need, it's $6,461,101. But that, you have to subtract out the $2,835,662. And then that gives you the real, it's like 3.7 million right now. Okay, so we'll take a look. So you see total levy. So the levy capacity each year goes up at 2.5%. So if you look at, and we're going to compare 25 for further context, you look in FY25, and this is an actual number because 25's over and we've settled with the Commonwealth. So in the total levy money, we took in $42,926,193. FY26 estimate, we were looking at and working through $44,014,167. For FY27, we're estimating receipts at $48,491,573. So Chapter 70, you'll see FY25, it's $14,674,526. In FY26, it was $14,700,419. So you see, it's really not that big of a jump. And then FY27, it's estimated $14,977,203. So when it comes to local aid, we're a long way off. The governor did file her bill. That goes to the House. The House sets that aside. House budget writers write their own book. They take their budget up the week after April vacation. They conclude their budget. Then it goes to the Senate. Senate puts the House budget aside. Senate writers draft their own budget, a lot of paper. They come up with their own numbers and priorities. When they're through, that's done. They take it up the week leading up to Memorial Day weekend. Over Memorial Day weekend, the budget writers on both the House and the Senate get together, and they get ready to non-concur with one another. And then the House and Senate get together and they put a budget committee together. They will come up with a compromise. They'll take whatever in local aid in the House and the Senate side. They can adopt the high number, the low number, or something in between, but never anything out of those parameters. So, what does that mean? That means that we don't really get a final number. Everything's always iffy until the budget's signed. You can see chart up tuition, unrestricted government aid. You'll see it was $2,422,223, $2,475,512, and $2,509,945. Veterans benefits, exemptions for veterans, blind, and surviving spouses, money from state-owned land, and payment in lieu of tax. Total state revenue for FY25, which is a real number, we got $17,787,343. Estimates for FY26, $17,994,282. And then FY27 estimate, $18,378,197. Now, you hear a lot of talk. We do talk about local receipts. These are local receipts, this next category. And you'll see our biggest local receipt, of course, is excise tax. You'll see that excise tax was at an all-time high in FY25. The thing about excise tax, and I'm sure it's not strange to anyone in this room, when the economy's good, when salaries are going up, people feel good, treat themselves to a newer car, maybe a more expensive car, maybe a sports car. So you see that in 25 it was $3,097,017. FY26 slight decrease, $2,793,641. And we're being very conservative. So for FY27 we're estimating about the same as we did in FY26, $2,793,641. Penalties and interest on taxes, you'll see that number, fees that come in, licenses and permits. It was artificially high, so in case you're wondering, you're looking at that and say, wow, why was FY25 1.4, almost 1.5? That was for that 40B development. All those permits came in, so that's a very substantial development. So that's what drives that number. Fines and forfeitures, investment income. Investment income is going down. Anyone that has their own savings, they see the interest go down. As interest rates go up to borrow, interest rates for your hard-earned dollars go down. Towns in the same thing, municipal finance, our interest rates go down on par cash that we have. Par cash is your taxes, so you pay your taxes this year for next year's budget. Medicaid reimbursement, you'll see a slight decrease in that. And ambulance receipts, you'll see in FY25 it was $1,415,326. FY26 estimate $1,448,017 because we're still in FY26, and we're holding that we'll at least meet that revenue, if not exceed that, but we'll want to be conservative. There's not a lot of room for error. And marijuana excise tax, you'll see a decrease. And I'm sure it's not a surprise to people in the room. If you read your local newspaper, you'll see that in the Abington, I think, has 4 marijuana facilities, so there's a lot of competition. That's the 3% that we get back from the state on people that buy marijuana at the businesses that are in the town of Abington. You'll see that free cash was put in FY '26 for $3,080,966. And then you'll see transfers in from enterprise funds. And then total estimated revenue for FY '25 is $69,882,960. FY '26 estimate $73,072,793. And we're estimated for FY '27, $74,853,149. I'll start to go through this a little quicker. I know people can read. I do have it online. This is online. If you go to the town manager's website, everything's online there. So I want the residents to
That's
be
great
able
to
to
know,
go
yeah.
and take a look at it. One of the other things, so I don't forget, is we're going to put a tax calculator up. So one thing, I've been involved in other communities where you have to do overrides and debt exclusions and things like that, and residents like to be able to go plug in a number and see how it's going to affect their taxes. Very quickly, town meeting, we spend $3,000 on various things for town meeting. Total budget for selectmen under level funded is $440,680, and for level service, it's pretty much the same. Total, let's see, reserve fund, $50,000 will stay the same. Town accountant for FY '27, $242,546. See a slight increase. Assessors, $250,086. Total collector treasurer, $437,052, up from FY '26, which was $355,411. Town council, what we spend annually stays, around anywhere from 160 to 165.
Mr. Maresco?
Yes,
Sorry. If this is available online.
Yes.
Could you talk about the override
sure.
portion?
Yep, we can do that,
And
absolutely.
people can look at this
Yep.
online? Thank you.
Okay, so, level service budget, if supported by a positive vote at town meeting and a positive vote at the special election, will provide our residents with the same level of services that were provided in FY '26, but would require them financially supporting approximately $3,625,439 to cover the increase in providing these services. The override will require a few more dollars for the residents, but that will keep the devastating cuts. I do want to get into a little bit about what the impacts would be on the budget. But when we're looking at it, so we get the budget out there, even though we're going to hope, and I'm confident that the taxpayers, after they do the reading, after they look and they decide what they can afford, there's been a lot of discussion, and some people don't like the format. There's a question that's broken down, so it will be in 6 or 7 pieces. There'll be an education one, a fire one, a police one. And that was done really to give residents some control. One thing that turns residents off is they feel as though if it's just one number, they have to take it all or leave it. So it does make it a little more challenging. I'm not going to lie to folks. It's important to be transparent and have integrity. It says right up there on the wall.
So can I ask you mentioned town meeting, so
Yes.
taking out anybody's opinion on what the ballot will look like in terms of how the question is going to be asked, is town meeting also going to ask, do you support an override for each of these departments?
That is correct. So in order, that's a great question, Mr. Coyle, Mr. Chairman. So in order for it to pass, it has to pass at town meeting and at the ballot box. They're the same questions.
Okay.
If they don't pass at town meeting, it's still on the ballot. The good thing about that is that if it passes at the ballot, you have one additional bite to come back to town meeting
Okay.
and ask town meeting. The residents came out and spoke, because really it's some of the same people,
Yeah.
but the people more parochial that go to a town meeting, and a majority of the citizens choose not to participate in town meeting, but they do participate in going to the ballot box. So that's how but it's the same.
Okay.
It's the same question.
Thank you.
So along with that, I'm charged with the responsibility of looking, well, how are we gonna, we don't want to be right back into the same situation again. What can I do to raise revenues? Because it's a revenue issue. Can't point the finger and say, these people spend too much. The revenues, it's why I wanted to spend some time with the revenue so that people really can see that the revenues are off. But I'm going to be looking at selling off property. There's 2 schools that we're trying to sell. They've gone out. I've talked to the Inspector General. We're going to tweak the RFP. Hopefully we get some bites. We're selling potentially a piece of land that's going through seal right now. I'm also going to be looking at photovoltaics. I mean, that's not something we can do overnight. We'll have to do an RFP for that to invite a company to come in and give us some options. But we could put photovoltaics on roofs of municipal buildings. We could put carports. And we're not doing that to get a reduction in electric because we're part of the aggregate, so we already do that now. But you would do that because you rent out that space. So my goal is to then create a revenue stream coming in for the next 20 years. So the power companies that bid on stuff like that, it's like a 20-year contract, and depending on the climate out there with photovoltaics will then dictate what they're willing to pay for a lease. Other things that I'll be talking and looking at is how we do business. Where can we consolidate? Do we go out and have an animal control officer that the expenses are shared with 3 different towns? Do we do parking tickets with 3 separate towns? And the county does it, but we have some small roles, so wherever we can save dollars, I would want to look at that. The other thing is, do we share the Board of Health Services with other towns to reduce those costs? Now, when you start talking about that, a lot of people like the control, but we get a revenue problem. So I have to look at how we can control those revenues. Same thing. I mean, the school cost, the superintendent heard me mention this. Maybe we have to have a discussion. Is it time to think about, Abington joining some other town to reduce the overhead costs? Those are things that we'll look at. But to get to the chairman, I do want to talk a little bit about, I want to go through what happens if the override doesn't pass. Let's get to that slide. The chairman had asked about, so those are basically what the 7 questions will look like. That's not the actual verbiage, but
Yep.
those are the different categories.
Okay.
And the school number is not, I know that you got the.
No, I know, it's our preliminary
Yeah,
number. Yep.
and they're really all, but that shows you what it will look like. Must have gone by it. Okay, so what's at stake? You'll see from the slide, I've eradicated that $5,350 because I got rid of that vehicle. It was a 10-year-old vehicle. It's $5,350 to fix it. We have an extra vehicle. Honestly, I think we had too many vehicles, so getting rid of the old vehicle so that we don't have to spend that money. So that freed up that money. Council on Aging, it's for programming and operations, $6,468. Highway Department, they have 2 requested positions that they need to fund, and stormwater projects. So if the override didn't pass, the DPW budget would be reduced. They wouldn't get the extra $256,000. School Department number, same thing. I think, it's somewhere between 25 and 30 positions. Fire Department, overtime. And the overtime, for fire and police, that's a big number. As you know, police, we have them in the schools, which is important to keep our schools safe. We want to make sure the fire department there is ambulance also, but the hit to the fire department would be $275,514. Health department, hazardous waste disposal. It's not, someone asked if it was like nuclear powered medicine or something. It's not. Believe it or not, it's really like needles and old medication. Inspectional services, some scanner equipment that they wanted. IT, it's an IT position that will be gone, $65,000. Library, for library materials, books, be $13,964 that they would lose. The library is a little different. They have different money. They also have some state money, so they can sustain that cut. They're not happy if they had to do that, but they could sustain it. Planning board, planning department, it's $1,730. Police, if the override didn't pass, they would be losing 7 administrators, 3 part-time employees, and 6 of the brand-new officers that were just hired, and that's $841,313. Recreation, seasonal staff they wouldn't have money for, that's $5,000. Town accountant, training seminars and auditing, well, we have to be audited, so I'll have to find the money, but that's $6,336. Treasurer, part-time position, $24,766. Veterans benefits were reduced by about $28,689. Employee benefits, Medicare costs increased. Expected family additions, we would have there would be some challenge. That's about $300,000. That gets you to about approximately $3.7 million. So when people say what's at stake, those are what's at stake, and we have that slide up there so that people can take a look at that up on the web page. That's sort of the message. What are we going to do to get it passed? No, we had talked. Started to talk just a little bit about the menu approach. The thing about the menu is, parents. Was the one thing I need to caution everybody, since everyone in the room has some role in government, we can't use government emails, government computers, any of that stuff to ask people to support the override. But individually, people can go out and ask people. You just can't use town equipment. Years ago, the last time I did an override, computers weren't as prevalent, so there was nothing in the book bag. No superintendent messages back to support it, principals to support it. But it's really getting out, talking, going, having people go to the PTO, talk to the parents. You can have a private nonprofit, maybe the teachers union. I'm asking the police union to handle their responsibility, fire union to handle theirs. Barring, unless we get someone to step forward, usually when towns do this, schools like to have their own people, general government would have their own people. Man, you might be saying, well, what would that person do? Well, everything that we can't do. They'd be out on social media constantly. They'd be ordering signs. They'd be doing fundraising so that we have money to buy the signs. I don't think bumper stickers are needed, but signs. Information, we don't have to print brochures. Today, everything's social media. Get people's addresses and just keep hitting away at getting the message out there. That's what we're going to do. I tell all groups that I go before, if there's a group that you want me to go and talk to, I'm happy to go out. Talk to that group. If you want me to come and meet individually with the parent-teacher organizations, I'm happy to do that. That's really between now and town meeting. We have some time, but, we need to get the message out. These are real hits. We lose those police officers that there could be problems with having the school resource officers, things like that. If we lose an ambulance, you don't want to be the second call if there's only one ambulance. And, and I don't do that to scare people, but I have a responsibility that people have to be aware of what the consequences are. If the fire department had to make those cuts and they had to go down to one ambulance, then we rely on mutual aid. Just like we provide mutual aid to other cities and towns right now around us, we would have to wait for Whitman or East Bridgewater or Rockland to come. So those are, some of the biggies that are out there. Snow, I can tell you right now, I'm sure at least one of the school committee people or the administration is thinking, how much did it cost for snow removal? I spoke to John this morning, And we had the construction meeting, and I think that right now our snow and ice budget's around 1.4 million. So we've got to come up with 1.3 to close that out, because it's one of the only accounts that the state government allows you to run to the end of the year, and then you take your reserves. Problem is, if we don't have reserves, then we'll have to be in it and cover it, and they give you a couple of years to pay it off. But we're going with that number, and that's just the number as of this morning. That's not
There's not going to
including.
be any more snow or ice.
Well, we hope that from the
heard it here
superintendent's lips to God's ears, absolutely.
Mr. Maresco,
yes.
I was going to say, so the intent for you to come out tonight, I want to thank you. First of all, I know we had to, one was your actual interview. We had a meeting, and then last week it was going to be a conflict, so it worked
Yeah.
out for the best anyway. So I wanted you to come tonight to, again, basically to give the parent community that may not get the chance to see your
Yes.
select board meetings, the opportunity to get an idea of overall town finances. And I guess maybe even more specifically, that Abington is not alone
Correct.
on the South Shore and in the area in terms of the deficits that are being faced. I feel it's a good opportunity. Dr. Michelle has got a presentation coming up that's going to parlay off of what Mr. Maresco said. If you don't mind, I'd like to give the committee a chance to ask maybe some quick clarifying questions, but with the caveat that this isn't town meeting. So if there's any quick questions related to the school that you'd like to ask Mr.
And if I could, Mr. Chairman, just right now, I pulled the list off, because I know that would be a question of who's in the boat. So the ones that are definitely in the boat right now: Brookline, Milton, South Hadley, Stoneham, Duxbury, Franklin, Middleton, Marshfield, and there are others that are talking, Rockland, other places are talking about it.
Hanover
So-
just had one.
Hanover just had one, yeah.
Go ahead, Caroline.
Okay, first of all, thank you for being here. And I came in with some questions about the landscape of other municipalities, and you just answered that, like the school systems in this area, and you said there were about 40 statewide?
Oh, 40 statewide.
In the same
yes.
boat? Okay, so you mentioned the revenue problem, and I'm just wondering, when you mentioned like some of the busters, like the healthcare, the fuel, et cetera, are any of the things that are impacting ours, is any of that unique to Abington, or is it kind of the same?
There's nothing really unique. I think it's all very general.
Okay.
It's no different than your household,
Okay.
fuel cost. I come here every day from Marshfield. I come down 139. I think it's a Prime service station. I've actually been getting my gas there. So I don't think it's in Abington. I think it's in Rockland, honestly. But
Okay.
just since the weekend, gas has gone up 11 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
So the state gas prices go up too, because we can corporate buy either from the county, from the state, or the town can do their own contract, whichever cheaper. So we're going to be hit with those. There's a war going on right now, and that's going to impact fuel costs for all of our vehicles, which will further add to the challenge.
Okay. So I guess what I was just getting at is, it's not just the same problem everywhere, it's the same reasons
Correct.
for the problem everywhere. Okay. I also just wanted to acknowledge something you said about the things that are one of the reasons we're coming up a little bit short. You mentioned the CBAs, the collective bargaining agreements, and you said that they are fair and competitive. And I just really wanted to thank you for acknowledging that. This is a profession where burnout and attrition are very real. We want to keep our teachers, our staff members. We want to show them that they are valued and give them a living wage. And you mentioned we give them the necessary tools to help them do their job well. So I just wanted to thank you for making that point, and I hope that the voters don't lose sight of that.
No, I think that's a very important point, because if we're not competitive, then we lose out to another community. We lose those minds that will come and, when the school, shape the minds of our young men and women that come here. We want to, it would be disappointing if we lose those new officers that just got here for the first time. Abington has a full complement of police officers, very young officers that are here, and they chose to be here. They like the community, they like the administration and the police department, they like the chief. people have to recognize that. It's important that we pay wages where we can attract, just like we want the best and the brightest students, we want the best and brightest employees, both on general government and school side.
Can I just ask, sorry, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
It's all yours.
I know you mentioned the town website on the town manager's page is where we can find the budget information. Is that where all override information, calendar, everything can be located? I find I get a little lost with the government sites, and I would love a single point of contact, because whether agree or disagree with the presentation of the override vote, the last thing I want is police worrying only about the police, fire. We are one community. We are all intertwined in so many ways. We need voters to understand the town's position, because after the first year override is done, we have a pool of money. And what are we going to do with it? So we need, I think, one central location where we can all have the single source.
I just want to correct you, so there isn't like a bowl of money. If we get the money and the override passes, that keeps things almost the same, providing that there's snow and, we've got to cover the expense on snow and ice budget. There are other things, the cost of fuel is going to be an issue because the town does have vehicles. I'm not to the intricacies of how the buses fuel, if that comes from the bus company, but, eventually we pay for it anyways because that's what they'll charge with the bus rental. So there are those things. We are one community. It is a menu approach. And, parents will come out and support education. And parents, everyone in general, residents, parents, ratepayers, they're gonna vote for the menu that they can afford. And we hope that as a community, enough people come out that all of the menus pass. That's what we want.
Great.
But, some people, I'm not going to lie, and there are people in the lower financial ladder that can't afford the whole piece. They'll have to look at. That's why we're going to have that clock up there. The other thing you mentioned is I get lost on the webpage too, to be honest with you. If I get lost, so we're working with IT right now. So you can go on. If you want detailed budgetary information, people should go on. And I want to have some verbiage right on the front so people know where to be directed. Because I had my son and daughter, my daughter's a teacher, just go on and take a look because I was having some difficulty maneuvering, and I knew where some of the stuff was. But if you go to the town accountant's page, all the budgets going back at least 7 years, you can see all the progression in the budgets. But I want to be able to direct people. For town meeting, we'll have all the backup documentation, we'll have the budget, we'll have the warrant, all of that stuff.
And like a calendar would be wonderful with these
Yep.
are the dates where we need to be.
With the elections and everything, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good. Thank you for being here. It's a lot of information. One of the things I want to ask you doesn't sound like it's directly school-related, but it could potentially affect the children of the town. There was a graphic up there that made mention of recreation programs. Could you speak to that for just very briefly?
The recreation cut, I forget, it's a small dollar.
$5,000.
Let's just take a look. Bear with me 1 second. The recreation, it's for seasonal staff, $5,000.
So are we talking summer camp, like, are we talking about Eager Beaver, or are we talking about other things?
Well, I think it could be everything. That will be up to that department. Recreation falls under DPW. They'll have to take a look at it, but the recreation department would sustain. If it doesn't pass, they would have to figure out how they get to the $5,000 reduction.
Okay, so that could potentially have some big impacts on a lot of the families in town. I appreciate your words greatly. Local aid not keeping up. People know how I feel about social media, or not so social media these days. I think it's important for us to keep reminding people that this is not a function of us being cavalier with anyone's money. This is a function of how economics are working right now. They're not working in our favor. And I will again implore people who have questions to ask the questions of the people most equipped to answer them. There's a lot of interesting theories floating around out there, many of which sound really reasonable but are in fact not. So I thank you for being here because you can give us the biggest picture overall so that when we talk about the school picture, people understand where we're coming from. I am very well aware of what that level of cut means for most of the departments. Abington has historically, we always lead with what's best for the kids. I think everybody understands that what's best for the kids is keeping teachers in classrooms, keeping classroom sizes reasonable. Classrooms that are too large do not make for the best learning environments for anybody. It doesn't make for the best work environments for anybody. Having staff on hand that can help our populations that need it the most. These are the things that we want to protect our students. Our communities are based around how we protect the people who need the protection the most. And we really do want to be sure that we are looking at this thoughtfully and thinking of it in a way that we come out of this as one stronger community, even if we are going through struggles to get there.
That's excellent. And that's true. And for anyone, there's a direct, I was a former assessor at one time for 6 years, 3 and 3, but there's a direct proportional relationship to the value of your home and the value of how the school system is perceived. If your school system is perceived to be very good and excellent, then you're going to have very good rate of return on increase in the value of your property. So that's why it's important that people look at, I think what you're saying is people look holistically at what needs to be done for the community as a whole.
Yeah.
And I'll leave one thing, Mr. Chairman, I know you need to get on with your business. I'm happy, people watching tonight, they want to send me an email. My email's out there, send me the question, and we'll get you an answer. That's what I'm here for.
Mr. Resco, again, thank you very much for giving up your time to come here tonight. We greatly appreciate it. And like I said, it'll help lay the groundwork for what Dr. Michelle has next for the school department. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, great, thank you. I would like to thank Town Manager Maresco for the partnership that we have had since your tenure in Abington, so thank you, and I look forward to continuing our partnership. I would also like to reiterate that the situation we're in is not an overspending or mismanagement problem. It is an expenses are outpacing revenue. How much money we're getting in as a town is not enough to keep up with the cost of us doing business. With that, next page. Thank you. In January, we talked about our level service budget, what it would cost us. What it would cost us next year to do the work that we're doing today. Nope, I just got that backwards. Our level service budget, thank you.
You're
Oh my
right.
God, it's
You're
already
right.
a late day. $34,358,222 for a level service budget to take the services that we're doing today and replicate them to next year. You also remember from our last meeting, our increase by major category page. You'll see how we came up with the difference between our level funded budget, or the amount of money that we got this year, and how much we need to do the same thing next year. And that can be found in these two slides of our increase by major category page. The total increase to do exactly what we're doing this year, next year, would be an increase of $1,763,957, or a 5.41% increase. As Mr. Maresco talked about and Mr. Coyle talked about, we are looking at every line in our budget, and we anticipate on our next school committee meeting, which will be a week from tonight, we will have a final number to submit to the town for an override number. And we'll talk a lot more about this next week, but there are assumptions that we made in January that in March we have a better idea about. So we'll be able to make some adjustments to this budget. I will forewarn you, it's not significant changes, but there are some changes that we anticipate being able to make next week. So the gap, the $1.763 million, is what we need to now show what that means to the Abington Public Schools. Each proposed reduction that will come on the following slides has an impact on services, student experience, program of studies, and/or class sizes. There are no reductions that were easy to make. Each position represents an impact to students, families, and school operations. Over the last few months, the administrative team took a very surgical, thoughtful approach to these reductions. Each and every position in the district was looked at and evaluated. And I just want to reiterate, none of these cuts were easy. We also recognize that each one of these proposed reductions will absolutely have an impact on the work that we do. You try to pick the least bad options. And that's what we have, and I will give you a preview that it's 28.1 full-time equivalents. So you will see some that are partial positions, but add it all up, it's 28.1 positions that will impact 21.1 people that are in their jobs right now. 7 will be able to be reduced through attrition, people retiring, people leaving, or anticipated vacancies. So without further ado, I would like, I can say that in my tenure as superintendent, this is the hardest meeting that I've had to have. And I also want to thank our administrators for the work that they've done. Each of these positions that we're going to talk about, the people that are impacted by this possible reduction in force have had conversations. Those people have, the principals, administrators have had conversations with each of these people, so they know that their job, should the override not pass, their job will be reduced, cut. Should stop saying reduced, they're going to be cut. So our first position is an administrative assistant in central office. These responsibilities, the impact will be that there will be decreased support in the hiring process, in the operations of our district, data collection and processing. We are proposing a reduction in summer custodial help. We bring on additional part-time employees in the summer, and not having those summer custodians will impact our ability to provide all of the typical summer cleaning and projects. There's also a proposed reduction to our summer IT office, and that will also impact our ability to do all the summer technology tasks that we typically do in a summer. You'll also notice these will be identified by school or level. So our next reduction is in the Abington Early Education Program, and it is a 0.2 reduction to a speech and language pathologist. So you'll see later on another 0.2, so that whole position is being reduced by 0.4. But the reduction in our speech and language pathologist will change the service delivery model at the Abington Early Education Program. So students will receive more small group instruction and have fewer opportunities for integrated services. At the Beaver Brook Elementary School, we're proposing the reduction of a special education teacher. which will increase class sizes in the remaining TLC classrooms, or therapeutic learning centers. We are proposing a reduction in a grade 2 teacher. That will reduce our grade 2 from 8 sections to 7 sections, and the average class size will go to 20.6 students. We are proposing the elimination of 3 special education paraprofessionals. The elimination of these positions will reduce in-class support for students with disabilities during their foundational learning years. The reduction of a tutor, this social emotional learning tutor, this position, by reducing this position, general education supports for school adjustment, mental health, and behavioral challenges will not exist at Beaverbrook, provided by this tutor. I think I have that there. At the Woodsdale, we have a reduction of a music teacher. This is a small reduction of a music teacher. It's 1 day, but the special schedule at the Woodsdale School will be impacted by this reduction. Students will still receive music, but it will impact how things are scheduled. We're reducing 2 reading specialists at the Woodsdale Elementary School. Reading specialists, by eliminating the reading specialists, we're eliminating the ability to provide small group targeted intervention by licensed reading specialists for students that are reading below grade level. So, and there are 2 there now, and we're proposing the elimination of 2 reading specialists. 0.6 school adjustment counselor. This eliminates general education support by the school adjustment counselor who focuses on mental health and behavioral challenges at the Woodsdale. I think it's the next one. Sorry. 1 OG tutor. So this is a tutor that specializes in Orton Gillingham, and this eliminating this position will reduce targeted evidence-based reading intervention for students requiring structured literacy support. And those students who require OG tutoring or OG instruction will receive it by their special educators, which in turn will impact the special education teacher's ability to provide other services. Eliminating 2 math tutors. These are tutors that specialize in math, and they provide small group targeted intervention in math for students who are below grade level. And there are, as I said, 2 of those. We're now going to move into our secondary cuts. The proposed reductions at Abington Middle School and Abington High School were noted on the next 2 slides. Most students in grades 5 through 12 will be scheduled for a minimum of 1 learning center or academic lab per day. In the Olden language, that's a study hall. But each student in grades 5 through 12 will have a minimum of 1 scheduled per day. At Abington Middle School, the reduction of 1 grade 5-6 STEAM teacher. The STEAM teacher teaches science, technology, engineering, art, and math in a course, and those classes will be eliminated for grades 5 and 6. A grade 6 teacher. It will reduce grade 6 from 8 to 7 sections. The average class size will go from 24.2 to 28.3. The reduction of 1 world language teacher. This reduction reduces Spanish from 180 days or every day of the school year to 90 days in grades 7 and 8. And Spanish 1 will be taught over 2 years. So Spanish 1 will be taught over 7th and 8th grade, and students would enter Abington High School in Spanish 2. A 0.5 computer science teacher. Digital literacy curriculum will be revised to include prioritized computer science standards. So students would still take digital literacy, but would not take a separate computer science class. .578 STEAM teacher. 7-8 STEAM will be reduced from 60 days to 30 days, resulting in decreased times to address the state standards for STEAM. A grade 5 teacher. This will reduce grade 5 from 7 sections to 6 sections, changing the average class size from 25.5 to 29.8. The reduction of a .4 wellness teacher. This will increase class sizes in grades 7 and 8 from approximately 25 students in PE to 30 to 35 students, and from health from approximately 20 students to 25 to 30 students. A .4 music teacher. Due to this cut, scheduling, students may not get their first choice of a music option. They may not get their first choice of band, chorus, or general music. And sections of band, chorus, and general music will be larger. One special education teacher. This reduction will impact the middle school's ability to provide co-taught classes for grades 7 and 8 as it has done in this year and in the past.
Did you skip art?
Did I skip what? Art?
Art.
I did skip art. .2 art teacher, sorry. .2 art teacher, and the result of this reduction would be sections will be maybe combined, resulting in larger class sizes and decreased opportunities in class due to the larger class sizes. At Abington High School, reduction of a .6 wellness teacher. This will impact the ability to offer PE and wellness classes such as first aid, CPR, lifelong fitness, and additionally, other PE classes will be larger. A .2 speech and language pathologist. That will impact the current service delivery model for speech and language, and students may receive services in larger small groups. .4 art teacher. This is a reduction in art offerings that are very popular at Abington High School. This will eliminate digital art and photography and will result in larger class sizes in our other art offerings. Computer science teacher. The computer science elective will be significantly reduced and will not be taught by a dedicated computer science teacher. We have reduction of 1 English teacher. This will eliminate many of our ELA electives and will result in larger class sizes among our remaining classes. 1 science teacher. This will result in the elimination of our physical science course, will result in larger class sizes in our remaining science classes, and will also decrease science elective offerings. The elimination of a high school tutor that works in our transition program, and this will decrease the ability to provide our students with special needs job sites, multiple job sites that fit their interests, and will decrease the offerings for job sites for the program. The elimination of the library IT tutor. The current setup is in our library that's shared between the middle and high school, or about 1,200 students. There will be 1 staff member, which will result in limiting library access, longer IT repair times, and decreased library services. The reduction of 1 custodian, and that will negatively impact the ability to appropriately clean all areas of the middle high school preschool. We're proposing the elimination of the positions of, these are stipended, very important stipended positions, as the Director of Art, Director of Music, Director of Wellness, department head of English, department head of math, department head of social studies, department head of science, and the world language department head. The department head positions, we had our math department head here tonight giving an update on the math department, but the role of the department heads are to spearhead curriculum revisions and updates, and that will be delayed or paused. They provide instructional support and collaboration with teachers, and it will ultimately limit students' access to consistent, high-quality learning experiences. Our department heads are the heads of these departments, our content areas specialists, and not having department heads will absolutely impact our curriculum and our student access to high-quality curriculum updates. And we are proposing the elimination of the district translator, who right now is a paraprofessional. Staff and administration will not have the level of on-call support for interpreter services, which will result in an increased reliance on technology and our fee-based contractor that does translation services for us. You'll see here that in all, we have 6.7 elementary certified staff members, 8.4 secondary certified staff members. We have 11 Unit B, their support personnel, and we have 2 support personnel that are outside of Unit A or Unit B, for a total of 28.1 FTEs. And as I mentioned, we believe 7 of those positions as of today will be through attrition, so 21.1 FTEs people are impacted by this cut. Between now and the end of the year, these people have been notified that their positions are possibly going to be eliminated. Those people may go and get other jobs, and we'll lose those people. And if the override is to pass, these people will have their jobs, but may have already gotten a job someplace else. And if the override doesn't pass, then these people will lose they'll be part of our reduction in force. So the attrition number may change between now and then, really because people may get jobs in other districts between now and then. I just want to really reiterate that every single one of these cuts represents a person and represents somebody that impacts the children of Abington. And this has been a very challenging time for our school department, and I would also like to commend the professionalism of our staff, of our administrators. People were notified the week before February vacation, because we felt it very important that if positions were going to be put up on the board, that those people that were impacted should know, so that tomorrow morning, after these positions were put, there wasn't going to be, is it me, is it you? Who is it? We want it to be upfront and transparent with people, but that also causes another level of angst. And I just really want to thank everybody for their professionalism and their through these difficult times and difficult conversations. So thank you. I also am here to answer whatever questions people have. Like Mr. Moresco, my email and phone numbers on the website. I would like people to ask me questions, and I will answer them however I can. And that's for the community, and I guess that you might have some.
I mean, the reductions, I know it was a painstaking process to go through them, so there's not really many questions around them. I think it's more clarifying for some people, and for me, I think I know the answer.
Sure.
But when we see like, I'm going to go to Beaverbrook, 3 special education paraprofessionals, it will reduce in-class support, and Dr. Robbins can talk to this if needed too, but we are still, all legal support that we are required to provide will still be taking place. It'll just be maybe more difficult to do, but it's not reducing what's legally obligated.
Correct, thank you. The reductions that are proposed will not impact our legal obligations. It may not be the same level of support someone got today, but it is still within students' IEPs, still within our legal requirements. I should also mention that Mr. Bourne, in his cuts, anticipates all students will be able to receive the appropriate credits for graduation. That is also not something that will be impacted.
Okay, thank you. If anybody else has any questions for Dr. Michelle?
Can I make a statement, I suppose? Stop me if I can. I think what you guys just spoke about is most critical, is that education, there are requirements, both legal, state standards, state requirements that have to be met. So there's no wiggle room that we just aren't going to teach math anymore. That is a requirement by the state. You'll notice at the reduction in force, these are areas where there is more wiggle room. We provide a service that is we provide something to our students that is giving them a service that might be different in other towns. For example, when does language begin? There are many towns that have 3 language offerings that begin at kindergarten. We begin at 7th grade. When does band start? We start band currently in the 5th grade. We may have to change these types of things. This is something that we have flexibility as a town, and it varies greatly in the state of Massachusetts. Not every student who goes through public education receives the same experience. Their class sizes are different, their offerings are different. Their high schools might offer 15 AP courses or might offer 1 AP course. Abington has a phenomenal experience for our students and for our families. I think I'm very proud to live here. I'm proud to put my kids through the school system. It is concerning when you compare us to neighboring towns that we have to cut so many of the reasons that students, or reduce, so many of the reasons that the students want to be in these buildings are because they get that enrichment through some of the specials, not just math and English. I think it's just important to note that the reason it's not that the people in this table and the people making the decisions do not value these areas, it's that there's no fat to trim right now. The only place that we can cut are where we are not required by the state to provide something or legally required to provide something. The school has done, and I give tremendous kudos to Felicia and to Sarah and to everyone who predates them in their positions. They have done a great job with our budget year over year. Unfortunately, that leaves us in a position now where when we have to cut, it really hurts. So, I'll get off my soapbox
that's
now,
good.
but
No,
I
that's-
feel super passionate, and I just,
Yeah, you definitely hit on everything without going too far a certain way, so thank you.
Can I jump on my soapbox?
Be careful, that's all.
I'll keep it a short soapbox, really. These are positions on paper. These are people to us, and they're people we care about because they care about our kids. And it's easy to look at numbers and think it doesn't matter. It does. And thank you to the administrative team who had a really hard day before break. And thank you to the professionals who had really tough conversations and showed up in classrooms today and gave everything they had, even though we might not have a position for them at the end of this year. So I'm going to take my emotional soapbox and pack it away. This is not easy for anyone. And we also understand that the economy is not easy for anyone. Quite frankly, the world is very much not easy for anyone right now. These are not decisions taken lightly, and all of these positions and all of these people matter. This is not where any of us want to be right now.
Dr. Michelle, I have one question, I guess it'll be. Chris, can you go to the science? Can you go back to, I'm sorry, go back to the high school, where's the science team? One more down.
Yep.
So, elimination of physical science course, does that mean physical science is no longer going to be taught, or does that mean that physical science will just be more, like, more kids per?
I think I'll ask Mr. Bourne to address that.
Thank you, Mr. Bourne.
Thank you, Mr. Coyle. That would mean that physical science course would no longer be offered at the high school. Students would.
Do all freshmen take physical science now? Okay.
Freshmen are enrolled in biology, and this would likely.
My bad.
That's fine. This would likely have them have a sequence of something similar to biochem physics, biophysics chem, and then whatever electives remain as seniors.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I do have one more question about that, if you don't mind. I
Sure.
know that they are talking about standards at the state level with graduation standards and all of that. We do have the space if we need to flip say a class altogether to meet a graduation requirement, or is everything that you're seeing coming at the state level currently covered in what we're
Really what's coming out of the state is still very much back of napkin stuff. They haven't even formally announced it to June, at least as the latest they had in this winter. So there isn't anything I see that would impact physical science. The only thing I think that's new, but we have a foot in the door with, is personal finance.
Yep.
And that's the only thing that remains to be seen.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Bourne.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Great. Thank you, Dr. Michelle.
May I just have one closing
Yes,
statement?
absolutely.
I want to end the way that I began, and that is that these proposed reductions were not easy, that each position represents an impact to school operations, students, and families. And this is a significant impact to our schools, 28.1 positions. And thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So up next school committee meeting date, it's going to be next week. Next Tuesday, March 10th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. right here. I do want to let everybody know, so that date is not in the original dates that we had. It won't be a full-blown agenda like you're used to seeing. It's going to primarily be focused on the budget, as we mentioned, and possibly the school calendar as well. But that'll probably be it, just so everybody knows when they see the agenda. We'll have another school committee meeting, our regular March one, on March 24th in 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So some dates, informational items. I'm going to leave the March memo to one of you two, because you
Yeah.
know it better than me.
Yep, I'll jump in. Informationally, every year when we publish the calendar for the school year ahead, the small version right here is available online, and that's what we email out to folks. However, and that's accurate, the one that's posted currently. In addition, you might remember, I should have brought one with me, but I didn't. The big green and white one
We all know the green calendar.
comes afterwards, right? You get that in the fall, and that's made based on what we give the printer here. Unfortunately, we were informed just recently that in March, only on the green calendar, not on the little one, and not online, on the green calendar, for some reason, March 23rd, which is a Monday, shows up on the green calendar as March 22nd Monday. So it's off by 1 day from there to the 30th. There is no 31st on it. April resets, so April is fine. March, for some reason, from the 22nd to the 30th, don't pay attention to those dates. The dates on your actual calendar are real and right.
Dr. Basel, just to be clear.
Yes.
Because I know we have 5 snow days so far, and I know where that puts us. The number of days and all that is still accurate, though, as far as...
Correct.
All right, thank you. Because one
Good
more
call.
day means like 4 more days.
Yes.
So just some dates to remember. Tomorrow, the Abington Music Parents Meeting takes place in the Middle High School Band Room at 6:30. Thursday, the Beaverbrook PTO meeting in their cafeteria at 7 p.m. Next Monday, March 9th, the middle school PTO meeting in the cafeteria downstairs. I missed the CPAC. It's not on your thing, but the CPAC is going to meet on tomorrow in the library at 6:30 p.m., Dr. Robbins? Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. in the library. Tuesday, March 10th, the boosters are meeting at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria downstairs. Come here first, then go there if you want. Wednesday, March 11th, in-service early release day. And as well that evening, Abington Education Foundation has their monthly meeting in the town hall, which leads to, on Saturday, March 28th, Abington Education Foundation Trivia Night fundraiser at the Knights of Columbus on Hancock Street. Doors open at 6:30 and games start at 7, I want to say. So usually don't hit on this, but in the personnel items, did want to mention that Mrs. Gaylor has accepted has tendered resignation. Effective tomorrow is her last day for another opportunity. So Danielle, I just want to thank you for everything you've done for us since you've taken on this role. Greatly appreciated. Good luck. Good luck in your next endeavor. Make sure you keep in touch.
Definitely.
And now I'm gonna probably have somebody makes you cry more than me. So
Well, I'm looking forward to the speed dial. So, thank you for all your support. Thank you for everything you've done for me, for the school committee, and for the students of Abington. You will absolutely be missed, and we all wish you the best in your future endeavors.
I wasn't expecting that so much.
Thank you, Danielle.
It's been amazing. Thank you.
I forgot to ask. Does anybody else have anything to add for dates to remember?
Did you want to bring up the unified?
No, you can go right ahead.
I don't know. Is it Thursday?
It is, yes, the unified
Unified
basketball game
basketball.
versus the staff is Thursday, March 5th at 3 p.m. Some people here may be playing. Okay.
And
Good to
it
see.
really is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself is to go watch the staff and students play. It really is a great event.
Yeah, no, awesome. Mrs. Whitney, I think you had one.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I did, yes. Also, if you want to see some staff and administrators playing a different,
Coach
and
Michelle.
coaching.
Oh, you're coaching?
A sport, please join us on March 22nd. It is a Sunday evening at 3 p.m. here at the high school. The Abington Teen Titans will be taking on the Harlem Wizards. For those of you who aren't familiar, similar to like Harlem Globetrotters, a fun little basketball game, 3 to 5 p.m., lots of volunteer opportunities, lots of amazing people within the community, not just within the schools, within Abington at large, who are volunteering their time to play against the Harlem Wizards. It's going to be an awesome event. Tickets on sale now
Fundraiser
through
for-
Abington Copes. Say it again?
Abington Copes.
So Abington Copes is sponsoring, but all of the proceeds are used for the Teen Center Committee, which is a group of individuals in town who are working for a location for our teens to spend their time.
Thank you very much. Just want to thank everybody for being here tonight, right? We know the agenda topic wasn't the greatest, but it is it's necessary. We hope it doesn't become necessary. We'll see what happens, but we need to lay out the facts for everybody out there with enough time for people to make an informed decision. So thank you for being here tonight. With that, I'm just looking for a motion to adjourn.
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.